Most people imagine survival as something loud. They think of urgency, of danger, of moments where everything is on the edge. But real survival, the kind that lasts, often begins quietly. It begins on an ordinary morning when you wake up and realize that today, once again, you have to take care of yourself. No one is watching, no one is cheering. There is no dramatic countdown, just you, your body, and the day ahead. This is the kind of survival we rarely talk about. The slow kind, the gentle kind, the kind that happens in small decisions that don't look heroic at all. You wake up before the world fully stirs. The air is still. The light is soft. For a moment, you stay still. Not because you are lazy, but because you are listening. You listen to your breath, to the quiet around you, to the way your body feels after another night of rest that was not quite enough. You don't rush. You've learned that rushing doesn't actually save energy. It spends it. So you sit up slowly. You place your feet on the ground. You let yourself arrive in this morning. This is survival too, choosing to begin the day gently instead of forcing yourself forward. Outside, the world is already moving. People are going places, schedules are filling, noise is building. But for now, you stay with the quiet. You prepare what you need: water, simple food, clothes that feel familiar. Nothing fancy, nothing excessive. Just enough. Survival is often about knowing what is enough. You step outside, and the day greets you without ceremony. The path ahead is not dramatic. It's just there. You walk. Each step is unremarkable. And yet, each step matters. Because walking forward, even slowly, is an act of continuation. You notice small details, the way light falls through trees, the way the ground feels under your feet, the rhythm of your movement. These details anchor you. They remind you that you are here, that you are present, that you are still part of this world. You are not trying to conquer the day. You are trying to move through it. There is a difference. At some point, you stop to rest. Not because you are exhausted, but because you've learned not to wait until you are. You sit, you drink water, you breathe. Your thoughts drift, but you don't chase them. Thoughts come and go. What matters is staying grounded. Survival is not just physical, it's mental, emotional. It's knowing when to pause before your mind starts to spiral. You think about how often, in the past, you ignored these signals, how you pushed through fatigue, how you dismissed discomfort, how you believed that strength meant endurance without rest. You survived those times too, but it cost you something. Now you choose differently. Now you believe that staying alive also means staying kind to yourself. As the day moves on, simple tasks fill your time. Finding shade, preparing food, making sure you have enough water for later. Each task is small. None of them feel important on their own. But together, they form a structure. A quiet structure that holds your day together. This is what gentle survival looks like. Not a fight, not a race. A series of mindful choices that keep you steady. There are moments when loneliness brushes against you, when the quiet feels too big, when you wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared from this routine. You acknowledge those thoughts. You don't push them away. Loneliness is part of survival too. You sit with it the same way you sit with fatigue or hunger. You don't judge it. You don't dramatize it. You let it pass. Because everything passes when you don't cling too tightly. Later, you move again. The sun shifts. Shadows change. Time flows, whether you hurry or not. You adapt your pace to the day, not the other way around. That choice alone changes how everything feels. You are no longer fighting time. You are cooperating with it. By evening, your body is tired, but it's an honest tiredness, not the kind that drains your spirit, the kind that tells you used your energy wisely. You prepare a place to rest. Nothing elaborate, just safe. See just enough. You sit quietly as the light fades, and in that moment, you understand something important. Survival does not always mean overcoming danger. Sometimes it simply means staying present long enough to care for yourself properly. It means choosing gentleness when no one is asking you to. It means continuing without forcing meaning onto every step. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. You don't need to. Today, you survived. Quietly, carefully, in your own way. And for now, that is enough. The night passes without ceremony. There is no sudden noise, no interruption, no urgent moment that pulls you awake. Morning arrives the way it always does, slowly, without asking whether you are ready. You open your eyes, and for a brief second, you forget where you are. Then the quiet returns, and with it, the memory of the day before. Your body feels stiff, not in pain, just reminding you that it carried you through another cycle of time. You stay still for a moment, not out of hesitation, but out of habit. Stillness has become part of how you survive. You check in with yourself before checking the world. Your breath is steady. Your mind is calm enough. Hunger is present, but not urgent. This information matters. Survival begins with awareness. You sit up slowly and let the morning settle around you. The air is cooler now, different from yesterday, different from the night. Change is constant, even when nothing dramatic happens. You prepare yourself again with the same quiet routine. Water first, a small amount, enough to wake your body gently. You eat something simple, not because it tastes good, but because nourishment is necessary. There is no rush to improve the moment. You are not trying to optimize the day. You are trying to sustain it. Outside, the light is soft but clearer now. You step into it with the familiarity of someone who knows there is no audience. No one is watching how well you do this. No one is measuring your efficiency. That absence of judgment feels like freedom. You move carefully, aware of your surroundings, but not tense. Tension wastes energy. Alertness does not. You've learned the difference. As you walk, your mind drifts, not toward worry, but toward observation. You notice the sounds that repeat themselves, the wind moving through the same spaces, the rhythm of your footsteps. Repetition creates comfort, not because it is exciting, but because it is predictable. Predictability allows your nervous system to settle. You realize how rarely, in your old life, you allowed yourself this kind of predictability. There was always change, always pressure, always the expectation to adapt faster. Here, adaptation is slower, more intentional. You stop again, not because you are tired, but because you want to remain aware of time. You check the position of the sun. You think ahead. How much energy do you have? How much will you need later? These calculations are quiet, almost instinctive. They are not stressful. They are grounding. Planning is part of survival, but it doesn't have to feel heavy. You move toward a familiar area, one that offered shade before. Familiarity matters. Every place you recognize reduces uncertainty. You sit in the shade and allow yourself to rest. Rest is not failure here. It is strategy. You lean back, feeling the ground support your weight. Support is something you used to overlook. In your old life, support was invisible until it was gone. Now, you notice it immediately. The ground, the shade, the stillness. They are not impressive, but they are reliable. As you sit, your thoughts wander again. Not to problems, not to plans, to memories. You think about how survival used to mean something different. It used to mean keeping up, staying relevant, not falling behind. That kind of survival was loud. It demanded attention. It demanded proof. It demanded constant output. This survival is quieter. It asks less, but it asks consistently. It asks you to listen, to pace yourself, to respect your limits. You realize that this kind of survival would have felt boring to your old self, unproductive, unambitious, and yet it feels honest. Time moves differently now. Minutes stretch, hours pass without urgency. You don't check the time, you feel it. Your body tells you when to move again. So you stand, slowly, and continue. The terrain doesn't challenge you today. There is no obstacle to overcome, no dramatic test of endurance, just continuation. You walk, and with each step, you feel a quiet sense of competence. Not pride, not accomplishment, capability. You are capable of keeping yourself going, capable of meeting basic needs, capable of adapting calmly. That realization settles deeply. It replaces an old anxiety you carried for years. The fear that without structure, without pressure, you would fall apart. You haven't. So you've become steadier. As the day progresses, you repeat the same simple actions. You drink, you eat, you rest, you move. Nothing new happens, and that feels significant. Because peace rarely announces itself. It arrives disguised as routine. There is a moment, sometime in the afternoon, when you feel a wave of fatigue. Not physical exhaustion, but mental dullness. You recognize it immediately. This is the kind of fatigue that used to make you push harder. Ignore it. Override it. Now, you stop. You sit again, letting your back relax. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to reset. This pause prevents mistakes. It protects your energy. You breathe slowly, counting nothing, measuring nothing. Just breathing. When you open your eyes, the fatigue has softened. Not gone, but manageable. That is enough. Survival is not about eliminating discomfort. It is about keeping it within limits. Later, you prepare for the evening. You think about where you will rest, how you will stay warm, what you will need when the light fades. Preparation gives you confidence. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that comes from knowing you have already handled today. As evening approaches, the world shifts again. The air cools. Sounds change. Light becomes softer. You move less. You observe more. There is no urgency to finish anything. Nothing needs to be completed. The day does not require a conclusion. You settle into your resting place with familiarity. Your body is tired now, but steady. You reflect briefly, not analyzing, just acknowledging. Today did not demand heroics. It did not test your limits. It did not push you to extremes. And yet, you survived. Gently, consistently, on your own terms. You realize that this kind of survival builds something different. Not toughness, not resistance. Trust. Trust in your ability to take care of yourself. Trust in your capacity to continue without force. That trust matters more than any dramatic victory. As darkness settles, you allow yourself to rest. Not escaping the day, but completing it. Tomorrow will come, it always does. And when it does, you will begin again. Quietly, carefully, still surviving. By the third day, the quiet no longer feels unfamiliar. It settles into you the way a steady rhythm settles into a song. Not something you think about, just something you move with. You wake without surprise. Your body already understands what kind of day this will be. There is a softness in that understanding. No anxiety, no urgency, just recognition. You rise slowly, not because you are tired, but because speed no longer feels necessary. Your movements are economical now, not rushed, not delayed, just enough. You notice how your hands work without instruction, how your body remembers the sequence of small actions required to begin the day. This is learning, but not the kind that uses words. It is the kind that lives in muscle and breath. You drink water, you eat, you pause. The pause matters. It creates a boundary between rest and movement, between night and day. In your old life, boundaries were often blurred. Work bled into rest. Noise followed you everywhere. Here, boundaries are clear. Morning is morning. Rest is rest. Movement is movement. That clarity calms something deep inside you. As you step outside, you sense the weather before you see it. The air feels heavier today. Not unpleasant. Just different. You adjust without complaint. Adaptation has become instinctive. You no longer resist change. You observe it. Then you respond. That sequence saves energy. You walk the same path as before, and it feels familiar now. Not comforting in a nostalgic way, but reliable. Reliability builds trust. You trust that the ground will hold you, that the shade will return, that your body will tell you when to stop. This trust is new. For a long time, you trusted external systems more than yourself. Schedules, rules, expectations. Without them, you once feared you would lose direction. Instead, you have gained presence. You stop near a place where the light falls differently. It catches your attention, not because it is beautiful, but because it signals time. You have learned to read the day through light and shadow, not through numbers. Time feels slower, but fuller. You realize that nothing is missing. No notifications, no updates, no sense of falling behind. That absence feels strange, then relieving. You think about how survival used to mean constant vigilance, watching for mistakes, anticipating judgment, staying prepared to explain yourself. That kind of vigilance was exhausting. This vigilance is different. It is quiet, local, focused. You pay attention to your immediate needs, not imagined future ones. You sit again, noticing how easily rest comes now. Your body no longer resists stillness. It accepts it. That acceptance feels earned. You remember how rest once felt uncomfortable, like wasted time, like avoidance. Now, rest feels like maintenance, necessary, respectful. You lie back slightly, letting your shoulders drop. The tension you used to carry there is almost gone. Not because life is easier, but because you are not bracing yourself anymore. You think less about outcomes, more about processes. How to move through the next hour, how to preserve energy, how to remain attentive. These thoughts are simple, but not shallow. They root you in the present. As the day unfolds, you repeat familiar actions. Walk, pause, observe, adjust. There is no boredom in repetition. Each repetition is slightly different. The light shifts. The air changes. Your energy fluctuates. You respond each time, not mechanically, but attentively. That attentiveness keeps you engaged without overstimulation. You notice how rarely, in your old life, you were fully engaged without being overwhelmed. It was usually one or the other. Here, engagement is gentle. At some point, you feel hunger return. You don't ignore it. You don't delay it. You address it calmly. This responsiveness feels respectful, like listening to a friend instead of commanding a worker. Your relationship with your body has changed. It is no longer something to push, it is something to cooperate with. You eat slowly, not savoring, just acknowledging. Food is not entertainment here, it is fuel, support. That simplicity removes pressure. There is no guilt, no reward system, no justification, just nourishment. Afterward, you sit quietly again. Silence stretches, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels occupied by small sensations. The way your breath deepens, the way your heartbeat steadies, the way your mind stays uncluttered. You realize how rare this uncluttered state used to be. There was always something pending, something unresolved, something waiting for attention. Now there is only what is here. That realization brings a subtle relief. You are not escaping responsibility. You are practicing presence. Presence feels like survival at its most basic level. As the afternoon progresses, you feel a slight restlessness, not discomfort, just movement wanting to happen. You honor it. You stand. You walk again. Movement and rest alternate naturally now. Neither dominates. This balance feels fragile, but real. You move through a different section today. Not far. Just enough to introduce novelty. Novelty wakes your senses, sharpens attention. You notice how alert you become when the environment changes. Even slightly. That alertness is not anxiety, it is curiosity. Curiosity returns slowly, not about big ideas, not about future plans, about textures, distances, sounds. You are rediscovering curiosity at a basic level. That feels important. It suggests that something inside you is no longer just surviving. It is responding. You sit again, watching the light change. The day is passing, not slipping away, passing through you. That distinction matters. You are not losing time. You are inhabiting it. As evening approaches, your body feels ready to slow down. Not collapsed, not drained, prepared. You think ahead gently. Where to rest, how to stay warm, what to do if the weather shifts. Preparation no longer feels anxious. It feels considerate. You are caring for your future self, even if that future is only a few hours away. That care feels grounding. When you settle into rest later, there is no rush to reflect. No need to evaluate the day. Nothing needs to be judged. The day was not productive or unproductive. It was lived, and that feels sufficient. You close your eyes, not escaping, but arriving at rest. The quiet surrounds you again. By now, it feels less like absence and more like shelter. You breathe evenly, aware of your body, aware of the moment. Survival continues, not as a struggle, but as a rhythm you now recognize. And within that rhythm, you remain steady. The fourth day does not announce itself. It arrives quietly, the same way the others did. But something inside you recognizes that a shift has already happened. Not outside. Inside. You wake up without scanning for danger, without checking the sky immediately, without rehearsing what needs to be done. Your breath is steady before your thoughts even begin. That is new. For a long time, your morning started with anticipation. What might go wrong? What must be handled? What cannot be forgotten? Here, the morning starts with awareness. You notice the weight of your body against the ground, the temperature of the air on your skin, the sound of your own breathing. These details ground you before thought has a chance to scatter. You sit up slowly, and there is no resistance, no inner argument. Your body cooperates. That cooperation feels like trust. You realize that survival is no longer something you are proving. It is something you are participating in. You step outside and the environment greets you without ceremony. Nothing dramatic has changed. The land is the same. The light is familiar, yet you feel different moving through it. Your steps are quieter, not because you are trying to be silent, but because you are not fighting the ground. You walk with it. This harmony surprises you. In your old life, movement was often aggressive, pushing through crowds, beating deadlines, outrunning expectations. Here, movement is responsive. You go where it makes sense. You stop when it feels right. No one is measuring you. That absence of measurement loosens something in your chest. You pause at a familiar spot, one that has become a reference point. Landmarks matter now. They are not just physical, they are emotional anchors. You remember how disoriented you once felt without digital maps, without directions. Now you navigate by memory and intuition. Your sense of direction has shifted inward. You know where you are because you know how you feel here. That realization settles deeply. As the morning continues, you notice a subtle change in your attention. You are less focused on doing and more focused on noticing. The way shadows stretch, the way sound travels, the way your energy rises and falls. This noticing does not slow you down. It refines you. You waste less effort. Survival becomes efficient not through force, but through alignment. You tend to your needs calmly. Water, food, warmth. There is no drama in these actions now. They are routines, but meaningful ones. You remember how routines once felt suffocating, like cages, like obligations. These routines feel different. They serve you. They respond to your condition. They are flexible. That flexibility keeps them alive. You sit for a while. It's longer than before. Stillness feels natural now. Your thoughts come and go without demanding attention. You watch them the way you watch clouds. Some pass quickly, some linger. None require action. This distance between thought and reaction is unfamiliar, but welcome. You realize how often you used to act just to quiet your mind. Now, the mind is quiet enough without action. That is a kind of freedom. As midday approaches, your senses sharpen, not in alertness, but in clarity. You can tell how long you can walk before needing rest, how much energy you have, what the weather might do next. These judgments are accurate. You trust them. Trust has replaced control. You think about how much energy control used to consume, planning too far ahead, worrying too deeply, preparing for situations that never arrived. Here, some preparation is local. It matches reality. That match feels stabilizing. You walk again, not far, but with purpose. Purpose does not mean ambition here. It means coherence. Your actions make sense in the context of the moment. That sense of coherence reduces friction inside you. You stop somewhere new and let yourself simply be there. No need to document. No need to remember. No need to turn it into meaning. The moment is enough without interpretation. That is another shift. You used to extract meaning constantly, from experiences, from conversations, from outcomes. Here, meaning arises quietly, without effort. It arrives as a feeling, not a conclusion. You eat again, slowly, attentively. Your body responds immediately. Energy returns smoothly, without spikes. You recognize how regulated you feel. Not numb, not excited. Balanced. Balance is rare. You think about how rarely your old life allowed balance. There was always an extreme: overwork, overstimulation, overthinking. Here, moderation is enforced by reality, and reality is kinder than expectation. The afternoon stretches out. You fill it not with tasks, but with presence. You move when needed. You rest when appropriate. This rhythm feels sustainable. You could live like this longer. That thought surprises you, not because you want to escape forever, but because you realize how adaptable you are. You needed less than you believed. You needed quieter than you expected. You needed space to listen to yourself again. As evening approaches, you feel a familiar calm, not fatigue, completion. The day feels whole, even without milestones. You prepare for rest with gentle attention. You consider warmth. You consider shelter. You consider comfort. Comfort no longer feels indulgent. It feels practical. You settle into rest without replaying the day. There is nothing to analyze, nothing to optimize. The day did what it needed to do. As you lie still, the quiet deepens. It no longer feels external. It feels internal. Your breath slows. Your muscles soften. Your mind stays present. You are not waiting for tomorrow. You are not holding on to today. You are simply here, within the ongoing rhythm of survival. And within that rhythm, you feel steady enough to continue. The final morning feels different, not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because you notice how familiar everything has become. The sounds, the light, the temperature of the air, they no longer introduce themselves. They are already known. You wake up with a sense of continuity, as if you never truly left the world during sleep. Your body feels rested, not just physically, but structurally, as if your inner framework has been quietly reinforced over the past days. You sit up and there is no hesitation, no inventory of worries, no urgency to move, just readiness. Readiness without pressure. That feeling is rare. You step outside and the environment receives you like an old acquaintance. Not warm, not cold, simply present. You walk slowly, allowing your pace to match your breath. You are no longer scanning. You are no longer proving anything. Survival is not a test anymore. It is a relationship with time, with effort, with your own limits. You realize that what changed the most was not your skill, but your attention. You learn to listen before acting, to pause before deciding, to respond instead of forcing. These were not survival tricks. They were life skills you had forgotten you possessed. You think about your old life again, but this time without judgment. No regret. No resentment. Just clarity. You see how much noise once filled your days. How much unnecessary tension you carried simply because everyone else did. Here, that noise had no place to hide. It fell away naturally. You prepare your final simple meal, not with ceremony, but with appreciation. Every movement feels complete, nothing rushed, nothing delayed. You eat, and your body responds with quiet gratitude. That dialogue between need and response feels honest. You rest afterward, not because you are tired, but because rest feels appropriate. You lie still and let the world exist without your intervention. This is when understanding arrives, not as a thought, but as a recognition. You do not need to escape life to live gently. You need to remove the parts that were never yours to carry. The urgency, the comparison, the constant demand to be more. Out here, life was reduced to essentials, and those essentials were enough. You sit up again, knowing this is the last stretch. Not an ending, but a transition. You gather your belongings slowly. There is no rush to leave, no fear of staying. That balance tells you something important. You are not dependent on this place. You are capable of bringing what you learned back with you. The quiet, the pacing, the awareness. These are portable. You take one final look around, not to memorize, but to acknowledge. See, this place gave you nothing you did not already have. It simply removed the distractions that kept you from seeing it. As you begin to move forward, you feel grounded, not inspired, not transformed, grounded. That is stronger. Grounded means you can return to noise without losing yourself. You can face complexity without abandoning simplicity. You can survive without hardening. You walk on carrying less than before, yet feeling more complete. And as the day continues, you understand something quietly, without needing to say it aloud. A gentle life is not found in isolation. It is practiced in attention. If this story resonated with you, if you felt a moment of calm or recognition while listening, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps keep these quiet stories alive. And it gives me the space to share more moments like this with you.